Hello and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your source for the finest 2A propaganda brought to you by TNVC.com. Today I want to tell you about how this politician told voters she doesn't want to be elected and how these politicrators are trying awfully hard to convince voters they do want to be elected. Ron DeSantis and Nikki Fried are both trying awfully hard to convince Florida voters they support gun rights. We reported last week about Fried's lawsuit against the Biden administration to get weed taken off the background check form. It's understandable she would want to distance herself from gun control extremists in her party, considering her campaign was funded by Sith Lord Michael Bloomberg, and she pissed off half of Florida by shutting down online applications for CCW permits and delaying paper applications for months. And recently, DeSantis signaled his virtue by promising to get constitutional carry passed in Florida before he's done as governor. The quiet part is you have to vote for him to see if he'll fulfill that promise in the next term, and he had a chance to get it done this year, but he didn't. I don't know, maybe he bent a lot of years in smoky back rooms doing that politicritter thing to drum up as much support as he possibly could, but he didn't put much public pressure on the legislature to pass it, because if he was able to sign it this year, how would he be able to get you to vote for him in August? Maybe I'm being cynical. What do you think? Is DeSantis good for his word? Will he really push permitless carry through the legislature if we re-elect him? Or will he keep kicking that can down the road, trying to dangle that carrot for additional metaphors to get him re-elected?
If you like seeing stuff more than not seeing stuff, take a look at our sponsor, TNVC.com, your source for quality night vision gear to make you the bump in the night.
Oh, and apparently Dr. Oz is running for Senate in Pennsylvania and wants you to forget his decades of very public support for draconian restrictions.
Other conservatives know that I'm strong on the Second Amendment. Ted Nugent, Rick Perry, President Trump. But our Second Amendment is not just about hunting.
Excuse me, the f*** did you just say?
Look here, champ. You're not fooling anyone. You're as phony as a $3 bill. Nothing wrong with a nice over and under shotgun. If you're into that sort of thing, I'm not here to judge. I know they're super popular with folks like you, and more importantly, they don't ook out the muggles too much. I get that you want to tread a fine line in your messaging here, but you are not like us. And as cringy as your Everydude attempt is, the part where you really dropped the ball was when you said the Second Amendment has anything at all to do with hunting. Hunting is healthy for mind and body, and responsible game management is critical to caretaking this world around us for future generations, but it doesn't have anything to do with the Constitution. Am I being unfair? Is it possible for a politician to completely reverse their position on a subject after years of aggressive campaigning against gun rights? Maybe, but we've been down that road before. In any case, Dr. Oz really wants you to think he's pro-gun, and he's running against Dave McCormick and Carla Sands in the Republican primary. But you know who doesn't want to get elected? Stacey Abrams. She more or less officially announced her withdrawal from Georgia's gubernatorial race by saying she intends to repeal the permitless carry bill just passed in Georgia this year. Abrams has no opposition in the Democrat primary, which leaves that party with essentially no one in the race. Should teenagers carry guns? Tennessee passed a permitless carry bill last year, but drew criticism for their Rube Goldberg way of doing it. Rather than repealing the law which infringes on the right to carry, they simply penned a whole list of flaming hoop exemptions to the charge of carrying a firearm with the intent to go armed. I mean, I'm always carrying with the intent to go armed every time I carry a gun.
I always try to be ready.
Was this revolver loaded and cocked?
Well, a gun that's unloaded and cocked ain't good for nothing.
But that long list of exceptions doesn't include 18 to 20-year-olds unless they served in the military, leaving adults under the age of 21 with no way to legally carry a handgun. And maybe you could make the argument that people aren't responsible enough to carry a weapon until they are 21. I remember what I was like at 21, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. But if you can't trust a man with a gun, then how can you trust him to drive a motor vehicle or to choose which lying egomaniac should have their finger on the button? Whatever the age of accountability is, it should be the same for all adulting activities. So Representative Chris Todd sponsored House Bill 1735 to add yet another exception to their contraption, which would allow anyone over the age of 18 to carry a handgun openly or concealed, so long as they are allowed to possess that handgun in the first place. HB 1735 passed the House a couple of weeks ago, and the companion bill, SB 2291, is currently assigned to the General Subcommittee of the Senate Judiciary Committee. These fine, barrel-aged politicrators to my right are the leaders of the Judiciary Committee. Whether or not you're in the volunteer state, I want you to pick up the phone right now and call at least one of them, or all three if you have the time. Tell them adults should not be deprived of their constitutional rights under the color of law. Tell them to move SB 2291 out for a vote, or you will campaign for their opposition in the next primary.
Industry news.
The new low-profile ambush offset mount from Strike Industries has a really smart design with a zero-height pick rail mount which rides in the slots without adding any height above the rail at all, allowing it to fit under pretty much any scope. And the mounting plate is dual-sided, with one side machined with like a bazillion holes to accommodate various screw and post patterns for micro dots, and the other side machined for the H1T1 pattern from Aimpoint. Price is $75. Midwest Industries has a new AK receiver maintenance block which locks into the magazine well. You can clamp it in a vise or secure it through the holes to a workbench. It also has a slot to aid in bolt assembly. Price is $40. Walther just introduced the F-Series for their PDP line, intended to appeal to female shooters. F-Series pistols have shorter trigger reach, redesigned slide serrations, smaller grip circumference, and an easier-to-operate slide made possible with a two-piece striker. MSRP is $700. I'm a simple man. I like dark beers, smoked meats, and badass 80s guns. That's why I'm pretty stoked Beretta's new Shooty Boy is coming to America.
Good morning, my neighbors! Hey, you! Yes! Yes! You too!
The PMX-S will be a semi-auto pistol version of the 9mm submachine gun adopted by the Italian military police. It's got some serious M12 vibes, but mechanically is based on the B&T P26, which itself looks like it was a churched-up Tech 9. We won't know final pricing until after they get AFT approval for import, but it should be under $1,700 based on pricing in the European market. Hey friend, do you like pews and pew-related things? Do you want to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of free $99? We literally couldn't make this show if it weren't for the generous support of TNVC.com, purveyors of the finest non-GMO night vision devices handcrafted from fine Corinthian leather in the old world style. They also have mounts, lights, training swag, and mostly cruelty-free gear to make you the bump in the night. And remember, if you aren't subscribed to our channel, you make puppies cry and Captain America is disappointed. I love you.